Mike, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of feels like deja vu. Didn't we already do a DN from Pittsburgh? It sure does feel like it.
Last video, if you guys haven't checked out Rashad Weaver, obviously click the link above our head. But no, we're here today for his counterpart in a sense, his teammate, obviously Patrick Jones, who, you look at the statistical production, Mike, and obviously that junior and senior season, they were both pretty impressive, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think yeah, no consistency. He definitely made a little bit of progress, not a ton, but um, yeah, no, you could definitely see it.
100%. And, I think what's actually more impressive than the senior season would actually be that junior year when he didn't have Weaver opposite of him. Obviously, he was out with an ACL that year. And as a team's number one sort of pass rushing option, he did get 8.5 sacks. So the production was certainly there. The question then just comes down to sort of the quality of sacks, which I guess we'll just hop right into my grade and sort of observations from there. So, in terms of his explosiveness, quickness, and then flexibility and bend, I thought that he was one of the better guys that we've seen to this point. Twitchy, really beyond belief. And I would say that he's probably not quite as explosive as a guy, say, like Jason Owe, who we obviously did in a previous video. But I think that the consistency of his get off is much better than an Owe. So that's why his number is just slightly less when obviously he's not going to match Owe's 4.340 or whatever it was. In terms of his ability against the run, and I'll just lump using his hands into it. I think that he left a lot to be desired. For being 6'5", 260, he didn't really play up to that strength, in my opinion. He's got to learn to use his hands. His hands are his friends, and obviously he was trying some moves every now and then, but it did feel like from time to time he was pretty content being blocked. Did you see that, Mike, at least from the film that you watched?
Yeah, for sure. Out of a lot of the prospects we watched, he definitely did not do a great job using his hands to disengage, whether it be in the run, whether it be in the pass. He attempted moves, but often to failure. I've seen his inside swim move. He attempted a couple times, but he was just basically just swimming there. There was nothing actually happening there. But I'm not sure, a 4.5. I guess compared to a way where there was very little to none hand usage, I would say it's a little bit there. He attempted. I think there's room for improvement. But I totally agree with your athleticism. I think he by far, at least just off game film, he looked probably the twitchiest that we've seen so far.
Yeah, and I should note he did at his pro day, he ran a 4.80, but he tweaked his hamstring midway through. So obviously that's kind of a faulty number. Then he didn't compete in any of the drills afterwards. So there's still some ambiguity there. But I do think that just off the tape, those are pretty solid marks for his explosiveness, obviously. In terms of his motor, I will say, next up we're doing Joseph Osai. I'll spoil it right now. I think if he had the same motor as a guy like Osai, I think that he could be a top 3 to 4 edge guy in this class, in all honesty, because I really do think that, when he's able to clear the tackle's hands, he can bend such a tight edge, and he's so good in that regard. But just once hands are on him, he doesn't do much. Whereas a guy like Osai, as we'll see, he's constantly fighting and doing whatever he can to break away and go chase down plays and whatnot. He's not going to give up on a good pass rush attempt where he has a chance for a sack. Don't get that twisted with the motor grade. But on these other plays, when he's not quite involved, he's just getting walled off, it kind of seems like he accepts it a little bit, which I'm personally not a huge fan of. Other than that, finishing tackling was solid. Block recognition and awareness was a little bit shaky, especially when you have on the other side of you. It doesn't help that you have Rashad Weaver, who I think that's one of his strong points in that regard. And overall, it comes out to a 70.75. So, Mike, what do you think about that overall final grade? Do you think it's a little bit too high, too low? Where are you at there?
I think it's, if you want to actually get into the next screen, just in comparison. Let me see what we're working with.
Okay.
Okay. Raw grade, right? Jason Away. Yeah, I think he's above Away. I think the floor a little bit high. It's actually quite a bit higher with Patrick Jones, and maybe not even that. He's just a little bit further ahead in progressions. Away, I think, has a little bit more of that athleticism. He's definitely a little bit more raw, so I think there might be a little bit more potential there. But I think Jones, I might maybe a little bit higher, but not too much, to say the least. I might have a raw grade over Najee Harris when it's all said and done. So maybe boost it up a little bit if I were going to do it, but not too bad. Pretty close.
You would say, though, I'm just curious. Obviously, you were really high in Rashad Weaver last video. If you guys did come from that video, you'll see I did bump my grade up for him a little bit in retrospect. For you guys, it's been a couple hours since that came out. For us, it's been a few days. And, upon reevaluating his film, I did bump him up from like a 70.5 or 70.75 up to a 74. But you do think that him versus Weaver, it's still Weaver over Jones, you would say, for sure?
Yeah, I think right now, basically the way I'm listing the five, Aziz, Quiddy, then I obviously we had the talk. If you guys haven't watched that video, Weaver, Rousseau, Phillips, Jones. I think that's kind of where it's fallen for me. Obviously you're a little bit higher in Phillips. I'm a little bit higher in Weaver, but um, same
Yeah.
splice. I think right there.
Yeah, no, I think we are in the same ballpark. I do have a question regarding where you think Jones best fits at the next level. I know that's something I've read a little bit of concern about. Do you think that he could be a 4-3-5 tech, or do you think that he's going to have to be more of a 3-4 outside linebacker, which begs the question of he's actually never had any stand-up experience really at Pittsburgh. So what are your thoughts kind of there? Do you think he has the ability to play on that edge in a 4-3 against the run, or do you think he's going to maybe have to really bulk up or something to do so? And if he does bulk up, are you worried that the speed and explosiveness will come down? What's kind of the thought process there, I guess?
I think naturally just watching his film, he does look like he's a more natural fit in a 3-4. I think being able to put the athleticism a little bit more to use, kind of, being able to use that kind of twitchiness, get to the edge and bend a little bit, comparative to being lined up right outside the tackle, giving a little bit more space and room to work. But I think he can do both. I think early on, he's probably going to start as a pass rushing specialist. I don't think, especially on running downs, I don't think he can play short yardage situations. So maybe like a third and long kind of specialist, and hopefully he develops, whether it be in a more 4-3 D end or 3-4 outside linebacker. I think it's just gonna be very dependent on what kind of situation he ends up in. But I'd say I'd probably prefer 3-4.
No, I think I'm in the same boat as you, unless he does pretty substantially put on some strength here, and I think he'll get that opportunity. I don't think you're going to draft him, whether it is late second round, early third round, or potentially even later than that. Obviously, we're not entirely sure, but I think that where you draft him, he's not going to have to be a day one starter, right? He's probably going to be a more rotational piece, like say we saw with the Bengals and Carl Lawson, or the Saints and Trey Hendrickson, guys like that, where they're more of those pass rushing specialists until they're able to fill out their frame and become those every down guys that end up getting paid a bunch of money, as we just saw here in free agency. So no, I think we're in the same boat with Patrick. I think he is an intriguing prospect, but yeah, I do think he is kind of sizably beneath some of those other guys that we've previously done. So with that being said, Mike, do you got anything else, or are we getting out of here?
If you guys like Patrick Jones or like any of these videos, you should probably leave a like, comment, subscribe. We enjoy them all. We enjoy doing these. I hope you guys enjoyed watching them. And if you don't, let us know why. Comment. Don't leave a dislike. Don't leave a dislike. Just comment. We'll have a conversation. And then after that conversation, then you can leave a dislike. But I think that's about it. I think we mic'd up and we mic'ing out.
Peace, guys.
Deuces.